The heroes have left, but I am Bior the blacksmith, and with my hammer we shall defeat victory!
Join the team.
Hey, this is the McGuire Review, and we are going to take a look at the brand new Tainted Grail from Awaken Realms, and I'm telling you, team, we are getting a Christmas present this year, so let's lock in and get ready to go. Woo!
With my hammer we shall craps. Craps?
Alright, team, we have got an awesome game here. I'll tell you, Awaken Realms continues to nail it title after title, and I will have to say they are by far one of my favorite game companies out there right now in the marketplace. And really, in my opinion, this is the one title that they really needed. It's really the title that brings it full circle, in my opinion. This one here gives us the story-driven, character-developed adventure game that I've been waiting for from these guys, and they have absolutely nailed it once again. What you're seeing here is complete prototype. Team, everything on the table is prototype. You will see these fantastic miniatures. Bear is going to load up some video here in a little bit as we go through various different components that we have on the table. We are going to look at all the stuff that we get in this as far as the prototype is concerned, and then we're going to get into some gameplay as well. So you got a feel for how this really plays out. All right, so I'm ready. Holiday season. Bear's got his hat on. Smokey's got the snowflakes. And we got these little blinky lights. Those are awesome. Before we get into anything, we are going to hit the
epic level giveaway
that we're going to do on this title as well. Now, let's get into the giveaway. We will be giving away one of the art books to the game. So this is the Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon art book. It's a pretty awesome art book too, because it's got not only some really cool art from the game, but it also goes through and kind of tells you a little bit about the characters, how the game was developed, some of the mechanics in the game, and how those mechanics work. So it's much more than just a simple art book that just has the artwork in it. It's going to have a lot of extra little goodies as well that are put on each one of the pages in this book. So this is a pretty awesome art book. I'm going to be giving this away as well. Bear, if you can help me with this. That's right. One of my favorite games, a retail copy of Lords of Hellas. So if you are the winner of the giveaway, you will get the Tainted Grail art book as well as a copy of Lords of Hellas. Now, pretty big giveaway. That's pretty awesome. That will be shipped to you. It's open worldwide. It'll be shipped to you for free. And if you want to get in on that giveaway, you know how it works, team. If you're already a part of the team, just comment below. If you're not part of the team, if you're not subscribed to this channel, you want to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, then comment below, and you'll automatically be entered for a chance to be the winner when Bear presses the button of fate. And we're going to do that on New Year's Day. So January the 1st, Bear will press the button of fate, and we will select that lucky winner. And that is going to be a lucky winner, let me tell you that, because you are getting a copy of Lords of Hellas, full retail copy, as well as that art book. All right, let's go ahead and get into what we've got here now that we've gone through the giveaway, which was so sweet, so sweet. Now, let me get this stuff out of the way. I'm going to hit these things first, and then we're going to get into everything else that we're here. I am going to leave my old Bior hammer there on the table. It looks pretty cool. So this game does come, this version of the prototype pre-Kickstarter does come with 3 characters. There will be many more characters that will be unlocked through the Kickstarter campaign, which does hit December the 5th. So be watching for that. If you want more information, obviously you can follow their social media, but December the 5th is when this Kickstarter hits, and is going to be awesome. So there are 3 characters. We're going to start with our character Bior here. That kind of kicks off the game, and there's a couple different ways you can start to play the game. They have this fantastic smaller book that you can open up, and it just steps you right into the game. Only just a few pages to read, and it gets you playing the game. Then there is a rule book as well. We'll take a look at those. Again, those are all prototype materials. There's a nice little entry for each one of the characters on this little sheet here where you can read some backstory about the characters as you play with those. So that is cool. Bear, if you would hold that. We're going to pull our rule book up here as well. And then here are the boards for the other characters. There's a character that's kind of like, I would say, somewhat of a dark sort of mage type character. And then you do have a druid character. And these are really cool. We'll look more at how these boards work because they're really nice. They're a double-sided board that actually hold all the different components that you'll need to build out and track your character over the course of the different chapters that you play through. And it's really neat because as you go from chapter to chapter, you advance kind of in time, and you'll restart your character, and it's almost like you become a new character in that new advanced time. So it's pretty awesome how the story progresses as you play the game. But here are the boards here, and we'll put them right down here. Bear, thank you. And then we do have the prototype rulebook here, not too long. It's going to go over all the rules. I thought that the prototype rulebook was laid out pretty nice. It was easy to understand how everything worked in the game, and there is not a lot of rules. You can see that is really the whole book. You can see there's text as well as pictures, and that's it. And most pages only have about that much text on them. Again, this is prototype, but there aren't that many rules included. Bear, thank you very much. And then we do have the start here, open and play. This is kind of the quick start guide to this game. If you want to just jump right in and start playing, you'll open this smaller pack here and you'll go through and it will tell you exactly how to go through and open up the game and start to play. This I thought was pretty awesome as well to just kind of get started playing the game very quickly. Now, as we go through different components, you may say, well, this part kind of feels like a game that I know. And, this part kind of feels like a game that I know. And this part maybe feels like a game that I know. And there might be 3 or 4 different games that you guys that, play various different types of games are thinking about that you're seeing different aspects of up here. And I won't disagree with that. But this is, in fact, it's stand-alone game. I mean, it borrows some concepts from other titles that I've seen to a certain extent, but it really implements them in its own unique way. And it ties everything together very, very well. It's an excellent, excellent design, very, very well made game. And I love the rule set. I love the mechanics. And I think that they bring a lot of innovation to this game and this genre, frankly, by how they implement some of their mechanics. Very, very well done, in my opinion. Okay, here is going to be our Tainted Grail journal, and this is going to contain all the scripts in it that we're going to need as we go through our prototype acts that we have here. And everything's going to be here. Once you go into an area and you explore these land areas, you'll go to the number indicated in this book. So let's say we were exploring land area 112. We'd find land area 112 here. It's called the Bloody Glen. And we then would read a little bit of flavor text about that area, and it would give us some choices. And then we'd be able to make choices. And this one here gives us 4 different choices. And depending on what we'd want to do, either playing solo as a group, this is a 1 to 4 player game. The rules do slightly change somewhat when you play cooperatively versus solo. There isn't a lot of rule changes, but there are some tweaks. Really gets into how you work as a party and how many cards you draw when you go into combat and things of that nature. You also can help one another. But as you make these choices here in your scripts, you then would go to different scripts depending on which choice you made, and you'd read some flavor text and you'd be presented with even more choices to be able to make. And that may affect the game. It may change things. There may be certain statuses that you'll get, and you'll track these things here on your little tracker sheet as you go through your acts. That's very cool, because we talked about how each one of these will actually affect the game as it goes on. So all of your choices, all of the outcomes of the scripts, all of this choose your own adventure that you're going to go through is going to make a difference as you progress further and further through this game and you go from different acts. Because there's like this time jump between each one of the acts where you will refresh your character, and it's like you start with a brand new character, and that character will take up where the other prior hero and character left off. And all of those decisions that were made will be pulled into that next future act. It's really, really great storytelling, and it's a lot of fun to play. And I'll tell you, the author that wrote a lot of the story with this game is a very, very well-known, famous fantasy writer. So the writing of this game is just It's amazing. Awaken Realms Sweetness. All right, so we're going to leave this right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what we've got in front of us, and we're going to get a little bit of playtime here on the table. We are going to be doing some more videos. I'm at least going to do one more of these videos where we're just going to have the game set up and we're just going to play for a while. I don't know, maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour. We'll just play the game and have some fun with this title because it is a lot of fun, and I want everybody to get a good feel for the gameplay as well. However, I did want to do a video that really queued the whole thing up and gave you a feel for everything that's here and everything that it has to offer, including some gameplay. Okay, so really quick, we do have 4 different types of encounter decks, a blue, purple, green, and a gray, and those are going to be different. Like the green is going to have a lot of wildlife type interactions with it. The purple is going to be more mystical, magical type encounters. The blue is going to be non-combat type encounters, and the gray is going to be more encounters with humanity and settlements as you traverse around the different land areas. So that's what we've got there with the different decks and encounter decks. Here are just the various different characters. So here's more of our druid. Here's Maggot, our kind of our mage type character, which is right here, and I just kind of set him right there. And then this is our other druid character, just absolutely phenomenal on these miniatures. The miniatures are just amazing. Bear, load up the overhead on these miniatures so we can get in tight and see some of these as we go through them. This here is what's going to be referred to as a menhir. And these are the little statues that are going to be placed on the board that are going to allow you to be able to explore around the map. They do have to be on and active, and there are these little coins right here that are metal coins. One has the Grail chalice on the back, and the other does have a skull on it. And you'll use these for different things. Sometimes you'll flip them and see which side it lands on, and that will indicate something you'll have to do on a card. Primarily, you're going to have these counters sitting underneath these menhirs, and you're going to turn them. They do have little numbers all the way around the outside of them, and you're going to turn those every single day, and they're going to count down. Once they count down, then that would be removed, and you would lose the exploration or a lot of the lands that you have that are attached around this. So these are very important. You want to keep these up. You want to make sure that you do manage the time there. These little counters tick away. Make sure you get done what you need to do. All right. Here's all the cards you're going to use to explore around this land, which essentially is an island. This is kind of a mix of King Arthur and the knights and the Holy Grail with Celtic mythology. It's sort of a mix of those things, and you've come to this island, and there were these old dwellers that were there, these powerful beings, and King Arthur has kind of taken over the island, but the weirdness is what it's called, is kind of trying to creep back, and you're sort of battling the weirdness, they call it, over the course of this game. That's kind of the evil force in this game that you're trying to keep subdued. Or it will take over the island and it will slip back into that reality. So here is the different board here and all the land cards. And like I mentioned earlier, it's really neat as you build this out, the artwork, and they all have numbers on them. We'll get on tight on that here in a minute. But there's numbers there that these kind of strap together. And it builds out this beautiful artistic board. And all the artwork goes right together. It's very, very cool. What we've got here are abilities. As we build out our player board here, we will be able to build out different types of attributes and skills, and that'll be right here. We've got aggression, courage, practicality, empathy, caution, and spirituality. Every character does have energy and health, as well as like a terror level or fear, and those will be managed over the course of the game. And there is this neat little component they have here which tracks on the health, and what it does is it helps you remember if there's anything that happens when any of these go above or below health. So there are some rules where your energy can't ever go above your health, and if your terror ever goes above your health, there's certain things that will happen to you as you play the game. So you want to manage those and make sure that these here don't ever go up above the line here that comes off of this piece, or something's going to happen that's not going to be great for you. So you want to manage that. There's also some different, we'll call them currencies that you can get within this game. So you got food, wealth, reputation, magic, and experience. And you'll just grab these little red cubes here and populate them in those boxes to track how many of those you have and you acquire over the course of the game. These abilities here, you'll be able to get these. You'll be able to buy abilities as well as some upgraded combat and diplomacy cards over the course of the game by use of experience. You can cash that in at kind of the end of the day when you rest. But these abilities here you'll be able to get, and you'll be able to lock those in right to the symbols that they match. And you can see the board here does have little sections to be able to lock those cards in. You just match up those symbols, and every card does have two sides where you'll have two different options to pick from, and you'll be able to decide what you want to do there in being able to further advance your character and optimize that character. So that's cool. You do have quite a bit of customization you can do with your characters just by the use of special upgrade cards to both of your main combat and diplomacy decks, as well as upgrading those abilities for your character. These here are just used as little weight symbols. They do have little hourglasses on them, pretty cool. You just put those on cards when you need them to indicate that you have to wait a day or 2 days or 3 days before you can actually go back to that card and do some exploration. That's all those are going to be used for. You then are going to have your event deck. Every time it's the end of a turn, you're going to start that turn with a new event that's going to be switched here on your event deck, and you will go right through. There is a Last Days of Kaunach. I'm going to mess that up probably a bunch of times. I'm going to go with Kaunach. Kaunach is what I'm going to go with for that. There are some words here which I'm not sure if I'm properly pronouncing, but we're going to go with Kaunach because it sounds cool and it looks like that's what it would be. So that is going to be our event, and we're going to just pull events, and you'll see there'll be different things as we start to play. We'll put them actually right under this card because this has a main objective we need to accomplish. And it says, the time is short. A guardian menhir that protects your town since ancient days will soon go out, letting dangerous powers flood in. We talked about this guy. He starts at 7, so we got 1 week, 7 days. You need to explore locations surrounding Kaunach while you're still safe and learn a secret druidic ritual that would let you reawaken menhirs. So you need to kind of explore around and try to find something. It says, new task. Earn a menhir rights card before the menhir goes out. You can learn these rights in locations surrounding Kaunach. When completed, draw a card from the bottom of the events deck and reveal it immediately. And then it gives you a little hint here at the bottom as well. For early gameplay, it says you probably want to spend the night in this main town here at the end of your turn, because if you do, wherever you will sleep and there's a certain type of icon, you can then dream, and you go to your book here and you can have a dream, and that dream will give you more revelation about what's going on within this world. There are some items that you can pick up over the course of the game. You'll get various different ways, as well as secrets, and these are special items that you can get. And these are things that once you get them, you just retain them. You won't be able to lose them. These are very powerful. You then will have your main combat deck, 25 cards. You'll be drawing these when you do combat, and your main diplomacy deck, 25 cards as well. You also will have these special advanced upgrade cards. Now for this version of the early demo, the prototype, it only came with upgrade cards for the combat. It didn't come with advanced upgrade cards for the diplomacy. But for the full production game, you will have those as well. The only other things that we have here is a couple sheets to help us remember exactly how to play the game. Nice little reference cards. We got an action card here that tells us how we travel, explore. There's location actions as well as activating menhirs if you want to be able to do that. There's also a card here that will tell us how to go right through the game. It says, a new day begins, and then you can go through how that flow of the game will work. We're going to hit all that here in a second. And then on the back of this one, it is going to give you a rundown of all the icons in the game and what those icons mean. Let's see, on the back of this one, there is nothing. It just says action card. These two cards here are You're Going Insane, You're Dying. As you get up in your terror and you get up into these red spots on this board, you're going to go insane. So you're going to take this and you're going to attach this to your to your character. And it's going to tell you, out of all dangers in this island, Creeping Madness is the most insidious. Attach this card to your character sheet whenever your terror there is in the red parts, which is just this 2 top points once it gets all the way up. It says, your rest no longer regenerates any health. So when you rest, you do regenerate 1 health. You have no dreams, only nightmares. Not good. When you attempt to travel or explore, toss a dial. Skull up, you panic and your action is canceled. Your traveling, your energy there is not refunded. So if you lose your action, you don't get a refund. Like, oh, I didn't get to do my action, so I get my energy point back. Every time you kind of do something in this game, you have to use something called energy. You wouldn't get that back. So that's what's going to happen to you. You're going to have that until you can get that terror out of that range, that fear out of that red. You're going to have this, you're going insane. So it's just going to kind of make it a little bit harder for you to move around and do things, essentially. You're just going to be kind of panicking, like always watching over your shoulder, like what's going on. Like, hey, Smokey, what are you doing over there? Right? Oh, bear. All right, that's what you're going to be doing. Now, if you ever go into red with health, which is way down here, 1 or 2, what's going to happen is you're going to get one of these that says you are dying. So it says attach to your character sheet whenever you have 0. Okay, so not 1, it'd be 0. So whenever you're at 0 health, you're going to get this. You can only carry 2 items. Discard excess items immediately. Okay, that sucks. So any items you have, now again, you're not going to lose them special secret items, but any regular items, you can only carry upwards of 2. Discard the rest. Whenever you receive any damage, toss a dial. If it lands skull up, you die. That sucks. Whenever you start a new day, if the new event has a skull symbol, you die. Here at the bottom, whenever you start a new day, if the new event has a skull symbol, you die. If it doesn't, gain 1 terror instead. So you are dying is not something that's going to be really fun either. So you're going to want to get that health or that terror under control over the course of the game, or you're going to end up dying. Now you will notice that on this board here, there are some of these that are filled in. You will start the game with some of them that are filled in. For Bjor here, this is the way that he would start. He'd have 3 food, 1 wealth. He'd start at full health. He would have, he'd start at full energy. He'd start at full health, and he would start at 0 on the terror dial there. Now there is a +1 here for action that would come into play over the course of the game, but you'll start right where it says full. You'll put your little indicator in there, and then he's going to start with already 2 points in his aggression, so he is kind of an aggressive guy. He's a little cautious, a little courageous. He's more practical than he is spiritual. He doesn't have any empathy right now, and as we gain experience, we can spend points in those, and we can buy more. And it depends on how many you have, and they're paired, right? So aggression goes with empathy, courage goes with caution. So if I wanted to add another point to courage, it wouldn't just be 1 experience point. So let's say I had 1 experience point, and I was playing the game, and I said, hey, I've rested, I want to use that experience, I want to add to courage. I got 1, I can just put it there. It doesn't work that way. You'd have to go, well, I have 1, I have 2, you would actually need 3 experience points to be able to put 1 more point in courage or 1 more point in caution. So that's how that works. You do kind of have to sort of add up what's already there, and then that's how much you would need to do for either one of those that are on pairs like that. Now, once you max it out and you say, oh, I want a 3rd point for aggression, well, that 3rd point is represented by your ability card. Let's say you wanted to do a 3rd point on aggression, then again it would be the 3rd point. So a 3rd point would require 3 experience. So you would have to have 3 experience to be able to pay for that, and then you could pick up and get an ability and lock that ability in as well. Well, let's make sure it's the right symbol, because again, all of these do have a proper symbol. So this one would actually be a courage card because it's got the little symbol there for courage. So that's something important to understand as you play the game, that you will want to start to modify your character to take advantage of all those abilities. There is a little paper here that starts off for Bjor that you would read, and it gives a little bit of background, and essentially what it says is the A-team has left, right? All the heroes have actually left in search of, they're going back to Camelot to try to gain a bunch of forces, to save the day. So all the heroes from the different areas of this island have been selected, and they've all gone off into the sunset towards Camelot. All that's left is kind of the B team, right? Kind of the guys that are left are just sort of the blacksmiths and a random druid and another guy, maggot. You know, they're not really the heroes of the game. You're just left to try to defend and take care of the job while your heroes are off trying to solve the bigger, I guess, the bigger mission, or probably just gain all the glory and you get nothing, right? Because nobody knows of your song. No, that's not how it's going to work. You're going to end up being the hero of the day. Hey, this little sheet right here we talked about, this is just going to save some of the things that you gain over the course of the game. There's different statuses that you will gain as you play, and you'll just check those boxes and you'll be able to see what status you have, as well as this kind of saves the game for you. So you can put down here locations and what dial counters are at those locations. So this is just kind of a save sheet as you're playing the game, so it's very clear where you're at. You'll see Act 1. Again, Act 1 was the only thing that was included with this demo, pre-Kickstarter edition. And then you write your little player name down there as well. That's what that's going to be. We'll leave it right there. So let's go ahead and start off the game. We will have our character, and we'll be right here in the little settlement of Kanuch. I messed it up again. Kuanach Farmhold is where we're at, and this is card 101. And we'll look at this card really quickly here. Bear, go ahead and load up the overhead of the cards as well. If we're looking here at the main card, you will see that there are these numbers that are all the way around the outside of the card. Those numbers all the way around the outside of the card will tell you which cards strap on as you build out those map. These cards have numbers that will align with these numbers, and you always have to have a number on the side to be able to explore out from that area. And then you will have up top here the name of the area, and then you'll have some various different icons. If you do have this little blue eye, it means you can actually rest and spend the night there. And if you do, you'll be able to dream, and that's right there in the journal you'll go through. You'll be able to dream and read. We're going to do that here as we do our little playthrough. This symbol here in the middle looks like some huts, means it's a settlement. If you do travel to another area that's a settlement, you're able to draw one of these blue encounters and do one of those. And then this little purple icon here, it indicates that there is a menhir that will be put on that card with a dial as well, and there'll be things that you'll be able to do there with that too. And then here at the bottom, sometimes different areas do have some chores or different actions that will happen immediately when you travel to the card, or there are things that you can just do if you would like to. This place here does have some chores. I can pay an energy and I can gain a reputation. That's here on my player board. I can gain a reputation. You can use that for various different things. And you want to do that once per day, indicates right here. Then on the very bottom, there is some flavor text that says, its history as long as its graveyard, its future as empty as its houses. Ooh. A little parable there, a little something. What does that mean? I don't know. We'll find out. So this is the card, and you can see here from the overhead video how awesome the artwork is on these cards. It's going to look really cool as we start to build this out. So when we start to play, we do put this on 7. We put our little counter on 7. I like to put them right up there on the corner. And we do put one of our menhirs here on there, showing that it is at 7. Okay, so that's our dial, and that dial is going to change. It's going to turn every game. You can do it however you want. You can set it, right on the card. You can set it off to the card. You just need to make sure that these dials don't accidentally spin. That's why, because it's easy, you can bump them, and then they just, they spin, and it's like, oh, what was that on? So I do like to, just to make sure, because that's very important when you play the game, I do like to set it right on top of it so it doesn't just easily spin. And I do believe that it's kind of designed that way as well, because it does sit nicely right on top of that coin. Now, we do take our character, we put our character right there as well, and then we will start to play. So, we can go here to our action card here, and it says, number 1, a new day begins. Turn all dials. Okay, well, we've already done that because this is the first turn. We reveal a new event card, and we discuss plans co-op. So if it's a cooperative game, if you're playing as a group, there's more than just, me and the guys here, right? You know, if there's more than just me, Smokey, and Bear, maybe Smokey's a female. I think Smokey's a girl. I'm a. You would discuss all the plans that you want to do as a group, because when you do your actions when you're playing solo, you just kind of play them out until you run out of energy. It's basically kind of your action points over the course of your turn or that day. You just go until you run out of energy, and then that's it, right? You would start a new day over and then go through this card again. However, if you're playing cooperatively, each person would only take one, action, and then it would be another person's turn. So you wouldn't travel and then explore and then do something. You would, hey, I'm going to travel here. Okay, then my turn will be over. Next person, well, I'm already at a location, so I'm going to explore. Next person may say, oh, I'm going to travel over here, and then I'm gonna band up and become part of a party. That's a really cool mechanic of this game, where you can become a party. And that's when we do our second video, we're going to play with multiple characters, and we're going to get into how we can group up and become parties and disband parties. There's different things you can do, and I like that they made that an actual defined mechanic of this game. It isn't like, hey, we're both on the same card so we can trade, items and gold and we call it wealth here, or food. No, you have to say, I am going to join, like we're going to join and we're going to party. We're going to become a party together. So that's pretty cool. So when you're playing cooperatively at this point, at the beginning of the day, you would discuss what you're going to want to do. You would talk that out. Hey, I think we should party up. We should go over here. We should look for the certain item we need for a particular quest. Or, hey, no, I'm going to go off and, you might be short on time, and some of the characters may need to go out and do something while other characters grouped up and formed a party. So that's where a lot of the conversation is going to happen at the beginning of that round. But again, if you're just playing by yourself, you're just going to just go ahead and go through your actions as you see fit. Now, 2, during the day, until everyone runs out of our energy, we talked about that, or passes, which means you may still have some energy, but you just decide to say, I'm not going to use it all, because if you ever get down here into the red, you only go back up to 4 energy for the next day, where if you're not in the red, you go all the way back up to full. So you do want to, it's kind of a trade-off as well. Travel, you can pay 1 energy, move to a connecting location. You can explore, and it's going to cost you energy as well. You can also do location actions. Those are for free, and they're printed right on the card. We saw that earlier. Or you can inspect and then here, which is right in the book as well. And I do suggest that you do that. It is for free, and it will give you even more information about this here may benefit you. Then it says the last things you're going to do is the end of day. So we'll talk about that once we get to the end of the day. That's once we've run out of energy, if we chose to do that. Okay? And then this card right here does go over each one of those actions as well. Tells you travel, what you would do, explore, what you would do, and then location and activate the menhir. So all of that is right here on these cards. If we need it, we can reference it. And that is the game in total. It's only really when we get to our combat in these cards that we're going to see a little bit more complexity. Other than that, that's kind of how the game plays out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to build out this map, and that's the first thing you'll do. Whenever you're on a card, you can go ahead and build out anything that is around it, as long as this statue right here is next to it. So it can be diagonal or left, right, up, down. But it has to be right around this statue. You can't build out any further than that. So I couldn't put a card here and then decide to put a card here. It's too far away. I got to get another one of these guys activated down there to then build out the map further. So that's why they're so important to keep them up, keep them there, because they allowed you to kind of move around the map and build that map out as it dies, and those areas get sucked into the weirdness. So that's a pretty cool concept. I like that, how you're kind of managing the board that way. So this is 108, so that's not the one that we need. Here's card 102, and it says 102 right there, and this little arrow points up to 102, and then this little arrow points down to 101, which this card is 101. So we're going to put that card right there, and once we get this loaded up, Bear's going to do some more overhead video, and we're going to be able to see how this board really all ties together and how it looks. So now we got 103. That goes right over here, ties together. And we got 104. That's right here. That ties there. And then we got 105, which is right down here. And that's all we would be able to build out at this point. Now, we are able to still build a card here, 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 and here, because that card would be diagonal to this, and it isn't like he's located on this card. So it's one card away, even diagonal, from that here. You're going to be able to build out your map. As long as he's still there, and he's got 7 days or 1 week that he'll still be there. Okay, so here's all of our cards. Let's put these up here. And now let's go ahead and use 1 energy. And, well, let's see. What do I want to do here? I mean, I could pay 1 energy and gain 1 reputation. Why don't I wait on that and maybe do that a little bit later? I'm going to put this act card right over here, as well as our flavor text. There are 2 other little things I didn't talk about. There is a die that you'll roll over the course of the game. It's just a D6. And then there is a dice that's actually used. We were playing the cooperative game, which moves enemies around. So you'll roll this die. It's kind of like a location die. You'll roll, and it'll tell which direction the enemy should move in. Okay? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move. And let's see. This place looks pretty cool. These other places look... I'm going to go right down here to the Forlorn Swords. It does indicate that I can spend the night there if I want to. It does have that proper icon on there. But I don't think that I will. I'm just going to spend an energy. We'll move that down, and I'm going to move right down here. Go down to the Forlorn Sword, and it says that the smith shop, I can pay 2 of my wealth, and I can draw 1 random item. Well, I don't have 2 wealth. I only have 1. So I can't do that just yet. It says, sensing their end, 4 dwellers ordered giants to push humans into the sea, but the giants abandoned their weapons here. So it's just this area with giant swords stick in from the 4 dwellers, which were the force that were there before King Arthur came in with the human race and were able to kind of take them out. So their giant swords are still there, left stuck in this island. Well, I'm going to go ahead and spend another energy, taking me down another one, and I'm going to go ahead and explore. And when you explore, you flip the card over, and there's some artwork on the back of the card as well with some flavor text, and then you'll go to your book. Now, you don't necessarily need to flip it over. Let's say you got this map really built out, and you got multiple models on a card, and let's say it's kind of in the middle, and you don't want to like move everything and flip it over. You can just go right to the book where that card would be, and you don't need to flip it over. It's up to you. So I'm going to flip it over, though. And then it tells me a little icon here at the bottom. I need to go to the book. So that would be 105. So I'd go here to the book, and I would find 105. I just went past. And here it is right here. It's called the Forlorn Swords. And I would read its flavor text. You rest a while in the shade of titanic swords, their rusty smell thickening your nostrils. 100 yards away, an elder smith toils, chipping at the jagged edge of a giant weapon. The hammer he uses to break apart his ancient steel seems very strange, as does the sound it makes. Now, we have some options now to go through. We can attempt to climb one of the swords, so one of these giant swords, and it says we'd want to do that because you see it looks like there's some gold up at the very top of the pommel. So we can climb that sword if we want. I don't know, we might do that. It also says try to talk to the smith. It also says rest in the shade of the sword. Just take a little nap if we'd like to. Or we can just leave and exploration ends. Now sometimes some of these choices that we go down will end in exploration ends. And we can explore again if we want, unless we get hit with something that doesn't allow us to explore again. And sometimes that happens. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk to the smith. And talking to the smith can get us some experience points, and we kind of want that earlier in the game. So I'm going to choose that. I'm going to talk to the smith. It says go to verse 2. Here in verse 2, if you're Bjor, I am, got the hammer right here, or if he's in your party, go to verse 4. Otherwise, you do something else. I have the proper character, so I'll go right to script 4. It says, you know the smith. And, before I go on, I'll tell you, that's the beauty to this game. It is like a choose-your-own-adventure with a non-linear paths, but there are multiple non-linear paths in every one of these choices that you make. So every time you play this game, it will essentially play out completely different if you choose different options. And I'm talking completely different. Again, the paths and the story writing in this title are worth it alone. You could forget about all of this. Just the actual adventure and the paths and the storyline that you go through in this book, absolutely phenomenal. Unbelievable. Artwork, story, miniatures, it's just Awaken Realms every time. Every time. All right, back to the story. I'm getting off track here. The smith. Your missing master and him used to be friends. You greet him politely and then hang back, watching. Each strike of his hammer against the surface of the sword produces a sharp, tinging sound. This old steel was shaped not with a tool, but with a song, the smith explains after a while. It takes the same pitch to break it apart. This hammer I have here remembers the music of the Four Dwellers. After a while, the smith gathers rusty ingots from the grass and invites you to his hut, where he shows you the rest of the process. All right, so it says now, gain 1 experience point and the Riddle of the Old Steel status if you don't have it already. Then choose one. So you would go ahead and gain 1 experience point. We just got that from talking to the smith. And then we'd also go to our sheet here and we'd say, oh, we want the Riddle of the Old Steel. And we check that. I don't have a pen with me, but we'd check that and you would gain Riddle of the Old Steel right there. Then it would say, we then would choose one of these things. So again, further choices within each one of these scripts. We can attempt to buy the hammer, spend 1 from 6 wealth, then check the result in verse 8. Well, we only have 1 wealth. All right, I might want to try to attempt to buy it. We then can attempt to steal the hammer. I don't know if that would be smart. And there's, you'd roll a die for that. If the total result is less than 5, you gain the old steel. So if you attempted to steal it, if the total result is smaller than 5, and something else happens, right? Or we can just decide to leave. We can say, you know what? I'm just going to leave. I don't think I have enough gold. I'm not going to try to steal it from this guy. That sounds like something I don't really want to do as a character. But you know what? I'm going to try to buy it. So I'm going to take my wealth. I'm going to cash it in, and it is gone. And it says, if you attempt to buy the hammer, spend 1, go to verse 8. All right, flip it over. Verse 8. How much did you offer? I offered 1. It indicates right here in the book, if you offer 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you offered, you read the script. I gave him one gold. Okay? This was an insult. Big surprise. Roll a die. Add your aggression and courage. If the result is at least 5, go to verse 3. Okay? Has to be at least 5. We go to verse 3. If it's not, exploration ends. Okay, so I'm going to roll a die. Oh, he crits. Oh, that is rare. He crits, and I would add my courage. Or no, hang on. I would add, what do I add? I add my aggression and courage. So I'd be adding 3 more to my 6, giving me 9. That's obviously at least 5. I go to verse 3. So now we go back over here. Verse 3, tension runs high. You and the smith both have short tempers. Yeah, we do. I'm double pointed up on aggression there. A violent fist fight erupts. Great. Roll the die and add your aggression. Roll the die. What we got? 5. Doing well. Add the aggression of 2, making it 7. Coming in with the old 1, 2. All right. Roll the die and add your aggression. 1 through 4. 5 plus. All right. You managed to push him back and knock out some of his teeth. Ooh, man. All right. Gain 1 experience. Nice. Got another experience. Either way, exploration ends. Put 3 hourglass tokens on this location. Remove 1 at the start of each day. The location cannot be explored until all tokens are gone. All right. So what happens there, and that's a good example of these exploration tokens, is exploration is now done. It goes back. And I get 3 hourglass tokens that are now on this, place. Now, what what sucks about that is, let's say, I have more energy. So let's say that it wouldn't have happened where I would have got these on there. I could have just said, you know what, I'm going to spend another energy and I'm going to go explore again, because maybe I'm going to keep trying to get that hammer, or I'm going to maybe do something else. I didn't climb to the top of that sword that looked like it had some gold at the top of the pommel. So maybe I would want to do that, maybe gain some more wealth. That would have been good. However, because of the route that I took, I got these hourglasses, and I can't explore this place again until essentially 3 days have passed. So, oh well, kind of lost my gold there. Maybe I can find something somewhere else. I can't do anything on this card. Pay 2 gold to get 1 item. Can't do that either. I do have 2 experience though, and that's good because I can use that experience to possibly buy a special combat card. I cannot. Let's see. Will 2 get me any? It will. So I can beef up some of my abilities. That's probably what I'll do. Is do that, because you can see as those get maxed out, you use those as modifiers to where you do essentially tests. So the higher the result, generally the better. So you do want to start to kind of get those beefed up. That way you can roll good tests. And I will recommend that you want to try to get these beefed up. I would say even before you start to pull in these abilities. I mean, they are powerful abilities, but I find that having those extra bits in these really help out with these tests. Even if it's 1 extra, it helps with the modifier of those tests. So I'm going to spend another energy, and I'm going to move. I can't move diagonally, so I'm going to move right back. I'm going to move right back home. Now I can sleep in the Charred Conclave, and I cannot sleep. I won't get a dream over here in the Warrior Fair. Warrior Fair looks pretty cool. I can pay 4 energy plus 1 health, and I can gain 2 experience points. That's pretty sweet. Ooh, I might do that on the next turn, possibly. All right, so we do have some energy left over. I think I'm going to go ahead and explore my farm hold here. I haven't actually explored that area, so this would be that one where it's like, hey, do you really want to flip it over? And you'll see at the back there is different art on each one. So I would say the first time it's probably fun to go ahead and flip it over. That way you're able to kind of see what's there. And this one says, a deep feeling of loss fills everything in. Oh, hang on, did I use? I didn't use all of my, didn't use an energy to do that. A deep feeling of loss fills everything in Kuanach. Not. Dilapidated farms to the sunken eyes of those who remained. The men here in the market is all but extinguished, and everyone brave or resourceful enough left to find a solution. Again, you're the B team. Big heroes, they're already taken off, but I think we're going to be the heroes of the day. If you have the red sign status, you do something. If you have the hunter's mark status, you do something. If the ancient menhir model is not in this location, you do something else. What's interesting about this is that kind of give you some hints, because now we know, hey, we probably want to find this red sign or this hunter's mark. Where could that potentially be? Who knows, right? But we know that we need it because there's some type of verse and script that we can get to be able to read on here that's going to do something for us. Otherwise, it says go right to the book, go right to the script. Now, we can't activate the menhir. It requires all players menhir rights plus a Stone Shaper's Tools card. So we do need some things to be able to activate this guy, and then we can get him going again. If he was to burn out after the 7 days, this is the ability we would need to be able to do. We'd have to have a couple items to be able to activate him again and then build out the area again. So that's how you get him back on the board if they ever burn out. So we're going to go right to the book here, and we're going to go to our first script. All right. And we've already read the flavor text here. And then what we're going to do is otherwise choose from below. Visit the families of the champions from the first expedition. We can ask the town folk to help you prepare. Or we can just leave. Ask the townfolk to help you prepare. Visit the families of the champions from the first expedition. You know what? I want to visit the families. And the reason why is because I think maybe they might be able to tell us something, because they may have some information or some knowledge that we don't have. I'm feeling that that's the way to go. So we're going to go to verse 1. This long winter, nearly everyone here lost a friend or a member of the family. First to hunger, then to disease. Finally, the 5 remaining pillars of the community, the only heroes in this land had ever known, suddenly left. Now, when you look into the distant eye of the last remaining residents, you realize they simply want to forget. Loosen their tongues with mead. There is an old custom, a late-night wake for those who wandered far from their home. Holding it for everyone who went with the expedition won't be cheap, though. Spend 2 wealth and go to verse 2. Ooh, I don't have 2 wealth. Ask them to share their burdens. Requires empathy 1, go to verse 2. Well, I don't have empathy 1 either. So, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do anything there because I don't have any wealth. I can't get them drunk to tell me what I want to know, and I don't have any empathy yet. So that's not going to work either. That's no good. That is no good. And I don't even have enough experience to be able to get that empathy, because that would be 1, 2, 3. So I would need 3 points of experience. I only have 2. So it now says go back and make another choice on the location card. So I'm going to ask the townsfolk to help me prepare. Let's try that. That's verse 3. Though they have little left, they share with you their last remaining supplies. Somehow this seems unworthy of a hero, but since all the true heroes were lost, who will dare to question your methods? Excellent. That'll work well for us. If you have at least 1 reputation, which I don't, and no Scrounger status, receive 1 random item, 1 food, and the Scrounger status. Exploration ends. I don't have any reputation. Now what I should have done is I should have done the chores on the front of this. You know what? Let's say that's the way I did it. Let's go ahead and use 1 more of those energies, because when I flipped it over, I probably would have done some chores, and that was just an action that you can do on this. It says pay 1 energy, gain 1 reputation. So let's say that I had done that before I came here. I would have had 1 reputation. If you have at least 1 reputation and know one of those statuses, which I don't, you gain 1 random item and 1 food. So I would get 1 more food, and then I would go here to my item deck, which is already shuffled up. I would grab an item, and now I will have a Runic Sword. Very cool, Runic Sword here. Weapon, add 1 to the value of your sequence. It only belongs to a great hero. Now it's yours. You wonder if it feels disappointed. Probably. So now this will add 1 to my chain. So if I ever go into combat, and that's the thing we're going to end with here, I'll show how this combat works, then you will go ahead and add 1 to that chain, which whatever you're trying to defeat. And then it says here that you will gain a certain type of status. You'll indicate that here. It just essentially means you've already done this, so you won't be able to do it again. And then exploration ends. Exploration would end. And there's nothing else really that I want to do. There's nothing else that I actually can do. So that would be over. So now what we would do is we would flip this card back over, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pass and say the day is over. I am exhausted. I'm on this 1 health here. I'm exhausted. So now what would happen is I would refresh the day. So we'd come here, we go to end of day. It says eat 1 food. So we would eat a food, and we do have to have food. If we don't have food, we'll lose health. And restore 1 health. Oh, we don't need to do that. We didn't lose any health. And restore 1 of our terror, but you know we never got scared, so we're fine there. Now, if we can't eat, we'll set our energy to 0. If it was already at 0, we'll receive basically 1 unavoidable hit to our health. We're going to restore all energy if you're not exhausted. Restore up to 4 if you are. So I was exhausted, so we're only going to go back up to 4. And then we're going to spend experience if not exhausted. Well, I was exhausted, so I'm not going to be able to actually spend my experience because I was exhausted. I was on 1. If it's 1 or 0, you're exhausted. So I'm not going to actually be able to spend my experience points. Otherwise, I'd probably spend these 2 experience points and start to get various different things built out. I'd probably do something here to build some of these other points out, some of these other attributes. And then it says read a dream if your location has the eye symbol, and it does. Where we're at right here does have the eye symbol. So we would read that dream, which we're going to do here in a second. If you're going insane, read the nightmare instead. Well, we're not going insane. We're doing perfectly fine on our terror. So we'll go here to our dream. It says, in your restless dream, a pale lady rises from the water. Her eyes milky and her skin spoiled with rot. Ooh, sounds sexy. She whispers something into your ear. Her breath smells of sea salt, kep, and rotten fish. Even better. You barely remember the words. There was something about 3 enigmas, one hidden under the Isle of the Dead, one clenched in the grasp of burning hands and arms, and one buried in the mist-covered mound. But what could it mean? So it's interesting because if you look at these cards here, I don't necessarily see a mist-covered mound, but I do see something that looks like it would be burning with, there's like a statue with hands and arms, like a burning area. I bet there's something there. And then let's see what else. The Isle of the Dead. Under the Isle of the Dead. This looks like an island of the dead. Just lots of dead stuff. A swampy big skull in the middle. So more than likely, here and here are 2 of the enigmas, and probably another one is somewhere that hasn't been explored or built out yet. So that just tells me I don't have to go do that, but there's something there. There's something with these 3 enigmas, and I might want to go check that out and see what that has to offer. And it says, hint, the dream refers to 3 out of the 9 locations surrounding Kuanach. It's possible some of them are not yet revealed. Okay. And we don't need to activate them in here. It's already activated. So that's all that we would be able to do on our turn. And now our turn is kind of over. And we then already kind of did the refresh. So now what we would do is go to our token. We would tick it down to 6. Now there's only 6 days left. And now we'd be able to go around the board. Oh, beginning of another day. So we're going to take that off. 2 more days and we can get back there and explore. Maybe go for that hammer again. If we've got some more wealth, that might be wise of us to try to get some more wealth. Couldn't expend our experience points, but that's okay because we can build those up over the next couple of days and maybe be able to do something really powerful with those experience points. And now we would start the day over again, where I'd start using energy again. And now I got up to 5, or 4. I started with full, but now I'm only at 4 because I used so much. So maybe for this next day, I want to take it a little easy. Maybe just use 2 energy and then get all the way back up to full, which really means I'll probably go here for 1, explore for another one. Let's see, that'll take me down to, and then that's all I'll do. And then I'll pass and I'll go ahead and spend the night there because it does have that eye symbol, so I can spend the night there. And I think that's one of the places where I'm going to be able to find one of those enigmas as well. This one also has a draw a gray encounter when you enter this location. So let's go ahead and see how that would play out. So I'm going to use 1 energy to move there. And now it's an immediate, so draw a gray encounter when you enter this location. So I'll go here to the gray encounter, I'll draw that. It says Wandering Priestess, okay? She believes ancient customs will protect her on the trail. You wonder how long till she's proven wrong. You may heal up to 3 health or 3 health for 1 wealth or 1 food. Well, I don't need to heal up to 3 health, but I do know that, I don't need to heal up to 3 health, but that would have been really powerful if I did need that. So that's not really going to do anything for me because I did not need that, so that's just going to get discarded. But every time you enter the location once per day, that's going to happen for your character, but we've already done it for today. All right, and then I would go ahead and explore, so I would flip this over and I'd be able to explore. Wow, this has got some really cool artwork on the outside or the back side of this one. And I would read through, and it says if you're playing Maggot, there's specifically something you would do, but if you're not, you go to the book and you'd start down those verses, which I'm sure we're probably going to find something for one of those enigmas in the book. So that's where we're going to stop with gameplay. Now, the only other thing that I will show you guys how it works is with combat when you fight something. So let's look here in this deck, and let's find something to fight. So there's a Glade Hare. So we'll go ahead and fight the Glade Hare. What happens here is it's going to have a number on it, and that's going to be the number that you're going to have to match to be able to defeat this. And you'll have these numbers on your cards, and then there's a symbol that's right here, and you need to lay cards down that match those symbols, and they're called keys in this game. You got to lock in the right type of key, and you can only lock in the right type of key if you in fact have that ability. So it does. I do have one of the snakes, which is practicality. It says one of the snakes right there, so it means I can actually I can combat this and lock into it. And then there's some other things it's going to do here. It says if you play no cards during your turn, the Glade Hare runs away. What's below it is actually the AI of each one of these enemies. So if you have, on this card it says if you have 0, so you're going to look at your combat chain once you got it built out. And if you have 0, nothing's going to happen. If you have anything more than 1 against this enemy, then it's going to say -1 energy. That's what's going to happen to you. You're just going to lose an energy. We don't want that to happen, but that's what would happen. This is a pretty weak type of monster to fight, this just wild, rampant hare, this giant hare. And at the bottom there, it does give what you would receive if you beat it. It says loot 1 food. So you basically would be killing this rabbit and looting food.
All right, so let's bring the combat down here to the table because I want to make sure it's clear how this combat works because it really is a fantastic system that they've implemented here for the combat. So let's say we were fighting this Glade Hare here in our example, and you can see there that it does take 3, we'll say, combat points to defeat that Glade Hare, as well as we would start with the practicality symbol. So our warrior would need to have at least a point in that practicality. They would need to have, points within that. They would also, I would also have to have a card that would match that key. So it would have to have 1 of those. So I'm going to go to my combat deck here, and I would select 3 cards. So I'll draw those. Now, if I was in a party, I would have drawn less cards depending on how many people were in that party. But since I'm just, for this example, fighting this by myself, I would only draw 3 cards for the beginning of my turn. Now, if I ever pass on my turn, I would be able to draw 1 more card than what I normally would be able to do. Let's take a look at the 3 cards that we've got here that I pulled out. And here they are. So I can't play this one because it doesn't have the right key there on the left side. We've got to match that key. So we do need a single snake symbol. And this one right here does have that. So we'd be able to play this card. And it doesn't do any damage towards it. However, if the enemy tries to counter this card, mark it. Its value becomes 2 for the rest of the encounter. And then we do have another one here that is the same. So I would go ahead and play this, and it does need to be matched up 1 for 1. So there's 1 of the practicalities there, 1 of the practicalities there, so that key does match, and I'd be able to use that. And then let's see what we got over here. I could also match up these keys, and I do have that as well. I do have 1 of those, and it does have to be the same. So if I was to try to match a double courage and I only have 1 point in courage, I wouldn't be able to use that key. But I do have 1 in practicality, and there's a key for 1 here, so we're good. I do have 1 in courage, and that's a 1-to-1 key there, so we would be good. And then here is a double key in aggression, which I do have 2 points in aggression, so I'd be able to use that key. But my 3rd card here does not have anything that would allow me to do that. No keys would match up. So those would be the cards I'd be able to play on my turn, and then you are able to keep one card in your hand at the end of your turn, so I will just keep this one card. At this point now I would see if I was able to defeat this hare. So it says here when I play this card, it is -1 energy. So I would have to come up here to my board and take away 1 energy. However, it says, if played when the enemy value is higher than the number of cards in your sequence, mark this card and raise its value by 1. So this would technically become 3 because I only have 2 cards, and the value of my enemy is 3. So that would then raise this card to 3, thus giving me enough to actually defeat the Glade Hare. And then I'd be able to defeat the Glade Hare, and I'd actually win this combat. Now, if I wasn't able to do that, I'd come right down here and I would check its AI track when it was its turn. It says if you play no cards during your turn, the Glade Hare runs away. So this isn't one where you'd ever want to just say, hey, I pass, and getting that bonus of drawing another card the next time it was your turn, because this particular enemy would just run away. However, if I played, if all my cards added up, like this one was worth 0, this one was worth 2, but let's say they both were worth 0, then nothing would happen. If I had a combat value that was 1 or greater, then I would lose 1 energy. Now, if I was able to kill it, like I just did, no problem. However, if it was 1 or 2, not equaling that 3, then this AI track would take over and I would lose yet another energy there on my player's track. Now at the bottom, since I beat it, I do get a loot, and it says 1 food. So I'd come right up here to the stack and I'd be able to give myself 1 more food. And that's how combat is going to work in this game. The diplomacy track is going to work the exact same way. However, it's going to use some different attributes on your character. Generally, your combat is going to be using these aggression, courage, and practicality, where when you get into more of the diplomatic type situations, which aren't necessarily combat related, you're going to be using the empathy, caution, and spirituality. And something that's important there to understand is this is how the characters balance out one another when they get into a party. When you actually go for combat with different types of characters, they're going to start a little bit different when you start them up. So if you look at a character like this, she's actually, the druid is actually going to start up with points that are going to be greater in these types of abilities. So early game, if you partner up with these characters and they go into, a situation together, if it's a diplomatic situation, this is going to work out very well because, she'll be able to help Bjorn with those types of interactions where Bjorn's going to be able to help, her with the type of interactions that would be more combat related. They also could play against each other in some types of situations, and you want to watch out for that as well, because in any type of combat, the cards that she's going to pull are going to be less valuable than the cards that he would pull if it is a combat specific situation, because you got to remember that scaling of you won't get 3 cards if you go into combat with a party. You're going to get 1 less card to draw per party member that's joined up with you. So that is how combat works in this game. And again, I think it's just an absolutely fantastic mechanic the way that they've designed this. I love the key system. I love the fact that it isn't just the cards in your hand, but you also have to have these abilities as well, dictated by the key, either being 1 or 2. There are some cards that will have just 1 symbol with a plus sign, and that means it can be a key of 1 or 2. So they do give you, those options, either 1, 2, 1, or 2, and you have to mix that with your character board and ensuring you've got the right abilities. So just, I really like the balance of that, those mechanics as it plays out, because it makes you as a player focus on building out these abilities, not just for having those increased checks when you actually roll the die, but also ensuring that you're able to do proper combat when it comes to doing combat or diplomacy situations. So very, very well done on the combat system, and I absolutely love it.
Say he was a type of enemy that could actually affect some of the other cards that you put out. What happens is if a chain's ever broke, you'll take this card away and the chain will remain. Now, you can put another card in, and if you get lucky enough to where the keys, at least a key and a key matches up on either side, then you can keep everything that you still had. And let's say, you know, some of these bigger monsters, you may get a nice big string of cards all connected by keys and may go out quite a ways. And you can break those keys or break those chains. Let's say you're only able to get a card that really just matches up with a perfect key here on this side, but on the right side you can't get that key matched up right. What happens is everything from that card down basically gets discarded and is now broke off the chain, and you got to kind of start over again. And that is a fun way to balance that combat back and forth with enemies. That's how that's going to work. That really is the most advanced part of the game, is the combat, and you can see it really isn't even that difficult, and actually it's a lot of fun the way the mechanic works. All right, so that's it. That's the video that we're going to do here on the introduction on Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon. We are going to do one more video here in the middle of December that's going to get into more of how the cooperative game is going to work, but I wanted to do a nice deep dive on the mechanics as well as some of the gameplay of how this game works and all the various different components and mechanics that we've got here. Again, I think this is an absolute phenomenal game. December the 5th. It is coming very, very soon. This video is probably going to come out just a day or so before the Kickstarter hits. Don't forget about that giveaway. You're going to get the art book again for Tainted Grail. Awesome art book. And you're going to get a full retail copy of Lords of Hellas. It's open worldwide, shipped to you. Hit that subscribe button and comment below. You want to get in on that giveaway. Bear's going to hit the button of fate on New Year's Day, January 1st, 2019, to kick off the year right and select that winner, and you will be shipped both of those items for this giveaway. So check out the Kickstarter of Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon. Awesome game, team. It is a phenomenal title, and again, I think just brings the Awaken Realm platform full circle and gives them all the right offerings for the market. Absolutely phenomenal, guys. Great work once again. So hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team. Keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time. Bear, let's go.